Imagine living on an island where the sun blazes nearly every day of the year, yet your electricity bills are among the highest in Europe, and blackouts still haunt even the most peaceful villages. Now picture that same island suddenly becoming the test bed for cutting-edge energy storage technology, a bold gamble that could reshape not just its economy, but the entire region's future. Welcome to Cyprus, where the battle for energy independence, climate action, and technological innovation is colliding in real time. The stakes aren't just national, they're global, as what happens next could define the path for dozens of other energy-hungry, isolated grids around the world. So here's the big question. Can a new wave of powerful batteries truly turn Cyprus from a fossil fuel outpost into a renewable energy powerhouse? Or is this just another expensive experiment destined to fizzle out? To understand how this Mediterranean island found itself at the intersection of crisis and opportunity, we need to take a step back. For decades, Cyprus's energy story has been written in oil, literally. Without any pipelines, natural gas reserves, or direct connections to continental Europe, Cyprus has had to import almost all its fossil fuels, burning them in old, inefficient power stations. The result? Sky-high electricity costs, vulnerability to geopolitical shocks, and a carbon footprint that overshadows even some of its much larger neighbors. The numbers are staggering. As recently as 2023, Cyprus's gross inland energy consumption reached 2.2 million tons of oil equivalent. Barely 20% of that was covered by renewables. Compare that with many EU countries already pushing past 40% renewables, and the scale of the problem becomes clear. But here's where the story gets interesting. Cyprus isn't just waiting for change, it's racing toward it. Over the last 5 years, solar panels have appeared on rooftops from Nicosia to Limassol, and massive photovoltaic parks now dot the island's sun-drenched plains. Wind turbines rise along the coastline. Ambitious government targets, backed by EU funding, have set the stage for a renewable revolution. Yet there's a twist, one that anyone with solar panels on their house knows all too well. The sun doesn't shine 24 hours a day, and the wind doesn't always blow. For Cyprus, these problems are amplified by its small, isolated electricity grid, which can't easily trade power with neighbors the way mainland European countries can. When too much solar power floods the system in the middle of the day, the grid operators are forced to waste it, literally shutting down turbines and panels to prevent blackouts or equipment damage. In 2023 alone, an estimated 13.4% of all renewable electricity was simply dumped. A painful reminder that going green isn't just about installing more solar panels. Dr. Maria Kyprianou of the University of Cyprus put it bluntly. The Apollon PV Park BESS is a critical first step, but to fully realize the potential of renewables, we need substantial investments in both grid modernization and flexible storage solutions. And this is where batteries come in. Not the kind you pop into your TV remote, but massive container-sized banks of lithium-ion cells, capable of soaking up surplus solar power during the day and releasing it back into the grid when the sun sets. It sounds simple, but the implications are profound. If battery energy storage systems, or BESS, can be installed at scale and managed effectively, they could stabilize the grid, slash blackout risks, cut emissions, and finally allow Cyprus to harness its abundant solar and wind resources without waste. The recent headline, a landmark 3.3 megawatt-hour BESS has just been integrated into the Apollon PV Park, paired with 5 megawatts of solar capacity. It's the largest battery project Cyprus has ever seen, and, crucially, the first to be professionally designed to support grid stability and manage peak demand. Images from the site reveal containerized storage solutions, likely supplied by energy giant Sungrow, bristling with modular racks of lithium-ion cells, an industrial-scale answer to a national challenge. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. The government has upped its ambition, revising the national energy storage target for 2030 from 1 gigawatt to an even more audacious 1.3 gigawatts. They've launched a $45 million investment in smart grid infrastructure, from installing thousands of advanced meters to building digital substations to better juggle the ebb and flow of distributed solar and wind power. And they're not stopping there. New tenders have hit the market, including one for a huge 50-megawatt, 100-megawatt-hour battery installation due by late 2027, and another blending $75 million of new solar with $25 million of batteries. In parallel, Cyprus is stretching regulatory muscles. Net metering rules are being overhauled to enable homeowners with rooftop solar to export more energy at better rates, a policy shift that could unlock unprecedented participation from ordinary citizens. Community energy storage projects are sprouting up, inviting neighborhoods to pool resources so everyone can share in the benefits of cheap, clean power. Even electric vehicle owners are joining the experiment. The University of Cyprus is piloting vehicle-to-grid, or V2G technology, hoping that one day, parked EVs could temporarily lend their batteries to stabilize the grid at critical moments. It's hard not to be swept up by the momentum. Glance at the headlines from just the last month. A new feasibility study for a second giant undersea cable connecting Cyprus to Israel's grid, potentially adding 2 gigawatts of transmission capacity by 2032. Updated fire safety regulations for battery sites, prompted by high-profile BESS fires abroad, and a new government-backed report giving detailed guidance on the optimal sizing of battery storage for different grid applications. It's as if the entire energy sector is pivoting overnight. But with every leap forward, fresh obstacles appear on the horizon. The most obvious? Money. While battery costs have fallen dramatically over the last decade, installing grid-scale storage still requires hefty upfront investment. And for an island with a modest GDP and lingering economic scars from the 2010s financial crisis, mobilizing sufficient funding, especially for bleeding-edge technologies, is no small feat. There's also the invisible complexity of the grid itself. Cyprus's network was designed for centralized fossil fuel plants, not for thousands of distributed solar and wind sites, and certainly not for two-way power flows enabled by batteries and smart meters. Integrating vast new storage on top of that, while updating fire safety standards and ensuring cybersecurity, is a logistical and regulatory tightrope. EAC Director George Christou cuts to the heart of the matter. The EAC is dedicated to integrating more renewable energy sources into the grid. Battery storage is paramount for maintaining grid stability and ensuring a reliable power supply for all consumers. Let's not forget the international dimension. With Cyprus still dependent on imported fuels, it's vulnerable to price swings and political tensions in the Middle East or Eastern Europe. The hope is that by finally connecting to Israel, and perhaps later to the pan-European grid via Greece, Cyprus can cushion future shocks. But these mega-projects are often prone to delays, spiraling costs, and complicated geopolitics. Another challenge lies in the technology itself. While lithium-ion batteries dominate the market, new chemistries, like flow batteries, hydrogen storage, and even thermal storage, are on the cusp of commercial breakthrough. Do you bet on tried and tested solutions, or risk early adoption for potentially bigger payoffs down the line? Solar Power Europe's James Watson raises a key warning. Cyprus is making commendable strides in adopting renewable energy. However, addressing grid saturation and establishing a supportive regulatory framework for energy storage are essential to attract further investment. Still, there's an unmistakable groundswell of optimism. Bloomberg Nef's Isabella Karanasu predicts Cyprus's energy storage market is poised for substantial growth in the coming years, fueled by increasing renewable energy penetration and the continued decline in battery costs. But here's where the drama truly kicks in. For every ribbon-cutting and optimistic press release, there's skepticism among engineers, investors, and even ordinary citizens. Will these battery projects really slash bills or just create new costs hidden in government budgets? Are new safety fears, especially after recent BESS fires in other countries, being taken seriously enough? Can Cyprus leapfrog from laggard to leader, or will technical and financial realities drag progress back into familiar old ruts? Consider this. The very success of Cyprus's energy transition now hinges on whether storage can be deployed faster than the grid buckles under new renewable power. If storage projects lag behind, curtailment rates could soar even as more clean energy is installed. If market and regulatory incentives fall short, private capital may dry up just when it's needed most. And then there's the wider regional competition. Other Mediterranean islands, Crete, Malta, Sardinia, are racing down similar paths. Whoever cracks the island grid plus renewables plus storage puzzle first could set off a wave of copycat investments and change the rules for Europe's energy transition. As the government bets big on multiple fronts, and with the clock ticking toward 2030 climate targets, one nagging question remains. Will the new batteries and upgraded grid hold up under pressure, or is Cyprus risking a high-profile billion-euro misfire? The world, and a lot of worried Cypriot homeowners, are watching. But what happens next? With all these moving pieces, funding, technology, regulation, and international alliances, will Cyprus's battery revolution signal true energy independence, or is a storm of new problems quietly gathering beneath the sunny surface? Let's dig deeper, as the real test is only beginning. But what does the future really hold for Cyprus as it stands on the edge of an energy revolution? Let's project ourselves forward, into the possibilities, the perils, and the potential rewards that lie ahead if Cyprus continues its ambitious push toward renewables and battery storage. Picture an island transformed, solar fields stretching to the horizon, gleaming panels on rooftops from Larnaca to Paphos, and behind the scenes, a network of silent, powerful battery installations quietly managing the ebb and flow of electricity. Energy independence, once a distant dream, seems almost within grasp. Yet, the path from vision to reality is anything but simple. In the next 5 years, Cyprus faces a critical test. The government's recent announcement of a 1.3 gigawatt storage target by 2030 significantly raises the stakes. That's more than doubling current ambitions, and it sends a clear signal to investors, to the public, and to international partners that the island is serious about its energy transition. But with every great leap, there's risk. The European Recovery and Resilience Fund has pledged $45 million for smart grid upgrades, an unprecedented investment, but it's a mere fraction of what's required. Experts warn that without sustained, large-scale financing, flagship projects like the $50 million EAC battery storage tender or the cross-border interconnectors with Israel and Crete could be delayed for years. Every delay translates to higher costs, more fossil fuel imports, and more carbon emissions. And beyond the numbers, it's a race against time. As Dr. Maria Kyprianou from the University of Cyprus cautions, if we don't invest boldly now in both batteries and smart grids, we risk locking ourselves into a fragile, outdated system that's increasingly vulnerable to blackouts and price shocks. Technological choices, too, will shape Cyprus's fate. Right now, lithium-ion batteries dominate, as seen at the Apollon PV park. But they're just the beginning. Flow batteries, with their longer life cycles and safer chemistry, are drawing attention. There's talk of pilot programs for hydrogen storage, lifting some of the burden from batteries during long, cloudy winters or windless weeks. The University of Cyprus is even testing whether parked electric cars could act as a dispersed, flexible grid buffer through vehicle-to-grid technology. The outcomes vary dramatically depending on how these bets pay off. Let's run through the 3 most likely future scenarios. First, in the best case, Cyprus rapidly modernizes its grid, attracts investment, and completes both regional interconnectors. Renewables, buoyed by flexible battery storage, quickly surpass fossil fuels. Electricity becomes cheaper and cleaner. Major blackouts become a thing of the past, and the island's notorious air pollution drops. Cyprus evolves into a regional energy hub, exporting its expertise and possibly even electrons across the Mediterranean. But this is only possible if state agencies, the private sector, and the public form a true alliance against inertia and bureaucracy. The second scenario is a more incremental advance. Some grid upgrades go ahead, but regulatory red tape and financing delays slow major projects. Battery deployment lags behind growing solar capacity, leading to wasted renewable energy. Curtailment rates stay unacceptably high. The public, already skeptical, grows impatient as promised savings are slow to arrive. Cyprus meets some but not all of its 2030 goals, and fossil fuels linger longer in the energy mix than anyone hoped. And in the worst-case scenario, fragmented efforts fall short. Investment dries up. The island's energy system struggles under the weight of old infrastructure, and brownouts become regular news. Electricity prices soar, and energy security remains elusive. Cyprus's dream of independence stalls out, leaving the country vulnerable to global fossil fuel price spikes. Which future prevails will be determined in the decisions made over the next few years. George Christou, director of EAC, puts it succinctly. Battery storage isn't just a technical upgrade, it's the keystone for Cyprus's energy future. The costs are high, yes, but the price of standing still is far higher. But let's not forget the unexpected opportunities. Community energy projects, once seen as niche, are now gaining traction across villages and towns. By pooling resources, neighborhoods can install shared batteries, maximizing the benefits of rooftop solar and providing a safety net in case of grid outages. These projects are rewriting the rules. Ordinary citizens now have a stake and a say in Cyprus's energy destiny. Meanwhile, regulatory reforms continue at a brisk pace. The Ministry of Energy is revising net metering rules, expected to soon allow households to export more of their solar surplus to the grid. For families with solar panels, this could mean real savings. For the grid, it offers greater flexibility during peak demand. And for the country, it's a small but essential step towards decentralizing power, not just the electricity itself, but decision-making and ownership as well. There's also the issue of safety. With battery fires in other countries making headlines, Cyprus has been quick to act, upgrading its fire safety standards for all new energy storage installations. Enhanced monitoring and automatic suppression systems are now mandatory. This is a crucial move. Public trust, always hard-won, easily lost, depends on visible safety and reliability. So, what can the rest of the world learn from Cyprus's high-stakes transformation? First, even a small, geographically isolated country can lead in energy innovation if it's willing to take calculated risks and pair ambition with discipline. Cyprus is proving that it's not just size but agility that matters in the energy transition. Second, the island's journey highlights the importance of persistence in policy and investment. Change is often slower than hoped, and setbacks are inevitable. The key is not to lose momentum. As Elena Andreou from the Cyprus Energy Agency observes, storage is the glue holding the clean energy future together. The more flexible and adaptable our grid, the more prosperity and stability we can deliver. Third, Cyprus shows that community involvement is no longer optional. Real progress happens from the bottom up. Whether it's a neighborhood battery collective in Limassol or an EV owner plugging into a V2G pilot, when citizens become energy actors, the entire system becomes more resilient and more equitable. On a practical level, viewers might ask, what does Cyprus's story mean for me? If you're living in Cyprus, there's never been a better time to consider rooftop solar or to participate in emerging community storage projects. Watch for updates on net metering. Expanded export limits could make your home's roof a genuine asset. If you're elsewhere, Cyprus offers a living case study in energy adaptation, one that might soon apply to your region as well. Watch how regulations, incentives, and local activism combine to reshape the energy map. Looking further, there's a secret to Cyprus's strategy. The bet isn't just on technology, but on talent. By investing in university research, technical training, and new energy startups, Cyprus is quietly building an ecosystem designed to export knowledge and know-how, not just megawatts. For young Cypriots, this means new career paths opening in sectors from data science to power engineering, opportunities that didn't exist a decade ago. As we come to the end of our journey, let's return to our core question. Can Cyprus scale up battery storage and grid modernization fast enough to achieve real energy independence and reliability, or is it destined to be bogged down by technical and financial roadblocks? The answer is cautiously optimistic. Cyprus has made a strong start, launching large-scale tenders, securing government and EU funds, and piloting new technologies. The challenges are formidable, but the will to overcome them is visible in policy circles, in local communities, and in a growing cadre of energy entrepreneurs. Success isn't guaranteed. The next 5 years will require discipline, transparency, and unprecedented collaboration across sectors. But if Cyprus seizes the moment, it could set a template for island and remote grids worldwide, proving that with the right mix of investment, innovation, and citizen engagement, energy independence isn't just possible, but inevitable. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Cyprus's energy revolution. If you enjoyed this story or learned something new, please hit the like button and subscribe. What aspect of Cyprus's renewable transition surprised you most? Or do you have an energy story from your own region to share? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And here's a final secret. While most are watching the race to install the biggest batteries, insiders believe the real game changer may lie in how Cyprus harnesses its world-class solar potential to power desalination plants, turning abundant sunshine not just into clean energy,